We got to educate people that the Federal Reserve is not a public government entity. It's a private entity owned by the robber barons that started this country, who manipulate the currency to their advantage. And that needs to be tackled. Again, I'm not the economic guru. I just know it's a problem. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the solution is, but it needs to be addressed.
I saw the transaction. I'm the last signer. So I clicked on sign. And I use a ledger as a hardware device for the last signing part. Okay.
Well, he's investing hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't know. I hope he's announced it. Hope I didn't announce this, but what the hell? All I do is tell the truth. That's what he told me. Now he has to do it, right? So it's so good. But he's investing hundreds of billions of dollars, and others too. We're going to have a lot of chip makers coming in, a lot of automakers coming in.
So automakers and chip makers, you hear him say there will be investing in the U.S. as well, in addition to Apple. All of that, he says, will be to avoid the tariffs that he has announced that are yet to take effect. Are down more than 7.5% and trading at session lows, despite the SEC officially dropping its enforcement case against the exchange after nearly 2 years. Now, CEO Brian Armstrong called the case bogus and said that it marks a huge day for the crypto industry, hoping that it sparks a domino effect for others facing regulatory scrutiny. Notably, Coinbase will not pay any fine and does not have to make any changes to its operations. But despite that legal victory, both the crypto market and fintech stocks are tumbling alongside the NASDAQ as high volatility names get hit hardest. Now, the Finks ETF is down 4%, with Robinhood, Affirm, and PayPal all in the red. Block is the biggest laggard, sinking 18% after missing Q4 estimates and disappointing on 2025 guidance. Now, investors are concerned about flat Cash App user growth and weaker than expected momentum in Square's seller business. The company is also losing market share to Toast, Clover, and Shift4, which continue gaining traction in the SMB payment space. Now, while Block shares had been climbing over the past year, today's sharp decline erases most of those gains, Scott, suggesting that investors are growing increasingly impatient with the company's execution.
We're hearing about these Doge dividend checks that would be 20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
When you achieve savings, you can either return it to taxpayers, you can return it to our debtors, or it can be cycled into next year's budget. You can just transfer into the next fiscal window and then lower the overall spending level. That means that you can achieve a permanent savings that way, and that reduces the deficit.
On these potential checks that you might send out from Doge, is there a concern as you're thinking through this that they could be inflationary?
Oh, absolutely not. And so if we reduce government spending, then that's, reduces inflation. And if you give people money, then they're going to save a bunch of it. And when they save it, then that also reduces demand and reduces inflation.
White House officials explaining President Trump's idea to pass Doge's savings onto the American taxpayer. House Speaker Mike Johnson also weighed in, though. Listen to this.
Well, look, I mean, politically, that would be great for us, you send everybody a check. But if you think about our core principles, right, fiscal responsibility is what we do as conservatives. That's our brand. And we have a $36 trillion federal debt. We have a giant deficit that we're contending with. I think we need to pay down the credit card, right? That's what I think we need to do.
Interesting thing that you've encountered when you go to D.C., when you're in D.C. And I said, well, the most surprising thing is the scale of the expenditures and actually how easy it is to, when you add caring and competence where it was absent before, you can actually save billions of dollars, sometimes in an hour.
Yeah,
it's wild. But obviously, it just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying taxes, and then they say, "Oh, $1 million doesn't matter." I'm like, I think it matters a lot, people. So what are you talking about?
What are you talking?
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Trump saying that Tim Cook is going to invest billions in the U.S., moving some of that manufacturing in the United States. So therefore, they can avoid tariffs. And don't forget what Tim Cook stated. It would be impossible to move manufacturing in the United States. And guys, we know that is definitely not correct. They just don't want to pay decent wages. And we know eventually the bots are going to be doing this manufacturing. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have crypto and fintech stocks down. Actually, the whole stock market was down today. Don't forget, guys, we had options on that third Friday. We know what happens if you're part of my stock Patreon account. And then plus in cryptos, guys, we have options. And then on top of it, we see shrinking liquidity. And if it wasn't for them manipulating yield rates down, believe me, it would have been a crash today. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Guys, don't forget that algorithm is undefeated. Starting next week, that algorithm will reallocate those funds. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now we have the Doge dividend checks keep coming up. 20% going to debt, 20% going to the people. And what's going to happen with that other 60%? That's the question I had. But of course, they're not going to answer it direct. We know the politicians tap dance. We know where the rest of that money is going. And most likely the people will never see a penny. But don't forget, we definitely have universal basic income right around the corner. And we have Elon Musk in the White House. Again, guys, this is unbelievable. You're living a movie. Plus, he's been dressed in all black like he's the Terminator. Your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. But never forget what King stated. Elon Musk is mapping out the plan. And then, guys, we have the Fed. The Fed is definitely going to pause. They have everything in their favor. Inflation. They manipulate the jobs market. And on top of it, Trump keeps talking about tariffs that we haven't received yet. So they definitely are going to pause. And then we have the BOJ on the other side that needs to raise. And we know every time the BOJ raises rates, it sends a rumble through the global economy. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And then we have China preparing for economic war. And we know that is a fact. The BRICS nations are about to rise, led by China with that digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. Only thing you have to do is look at Belt and Road. And we have Rand Paul on government still spending trillions with no cuts. But we know those cuts are coming because Trump has to get us in a level playing field. And then on top of it, we're moving to real-time settlement. All that surplus that's in the economy is going to be gone. And the United States is definitely going to lose that world reserve currency. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Because he knows, when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Of fiscal policy seem equal right now to its problems with inflation. For figuring out its next policy move, several Fed officials have made clear policy is on hold until inflation starts to come down and the effects of fiscal policy come into better focus. Perhaps most eloquently, Atlanta's Fed Raphael Bostic said yesterday, pervasive ambiguity calls for caution and humility. The effects of uncertainty, they're not in the hard data, but it's tracked in several indices that are watched by Bostic and other Fed officials as well. The Economic Policy Uncertainty Index, it looks at newspaper articles, differences in economic forecasts and tax code changes shot up after the election, calmed down, and is now the highest it's been since the pandemic. In fact, if you look at it, it's higher than at any time during the Biden or the first Trump administrations, and that's outside the pandemic. In fact, it's 60% of that elevated pandemic level right now. The Trade Policy Uncertainty Index, it's never been higher, far surpassing even the levels when President Trump put tariffs in place in 2018. You remember that was the year the market went sideways after a big gain. Professor Steve Davis, who created the Policy Uncertainty Index, he tells me high levels of policy uncertainty encourage businesses to cut or postpone investment and hiring as they wait for the operating environment to become less risky and the rules of the game to become less murky. Davis says that's true no matter what the policy is.
At the start of 2021, the Japanese yen began a slide that would take it down over 30% against the US dollar before finally bottoming in the summer of 2024. The analysis of the move was pretty straightforward. It was believed that the Bank of Japan seized the opportunity of locked up supply chains to add enough liquidity into the system to finally break the shackles of their decades-long struggle with deflation. The BOJ seemed to get the result they wanted, with Japan's CPI printing above 4% year-over-year in early 2023, before falling back down to 2.3% in October of 2024. But now there's a problem. Japanese CPI has spiked above the 3%, printing 3.6% its last reading, and this has prompted speculation that the BOJ now must hike rates further to fight the inflation and boost the weak yen. Currency traders have taken notice as the yen has rallied close to 5% against the buck since early January, making it the best performing G10 currency this year, an unfamiliar position for it to be in. In early February, the BOJ's Naoki Tamura expressed the need for at least 2 more interest rate hikes by the end of 2025. And nominal wages in December also jumped by the most in nearly 3 decades. Now, the next rate decision for the BOJ is scheduled for March 10th, and expectations are for a hike. Couple the fact that the BOJ is hiking at the same time the Fed is presumably easing, and the worry is that it could force the massive short yen long dollar positions to the exit and fuel the next yen leg higher.
War, primarily against the United States, and China is preparing for war. Part of that has been the inroads they've been trying to make into the Western Hemisphere by having Chinese influenced or controlled businesses near the Panama Canal, trying to get inroads in Greenland. That's why the president has stressed the relationship that we have with Greenland, with the Panama Canal. That's why I've got legislation, for instance, to withdraw China's permanent most favored nation status, which helps supercharge China's economy over the last 25 years. We need to take seriously the threat that China poses, not in some abstract, distant way, but right now, today, to our way of life, to you and to your family. That's the alarm bell that I'm trying to ring in 7 Things You Can't Say About China.
Tell us more about what you said and what you're thinking on this point.
You know, we have 2 different budget battles going on, one in the Senate and one in the House. On the Senate side, it's been led by Lindsey Graham, who wants to spend more money on the military and more border money. My point has always been, with all the savings that Elon Musk is finding and Doge is finding, send that back to us as a rescission package, and we can apply that to the border or the military. Instead, they're going ahead and just teeing up new spending without any significant cuts outlined so far. In the House, they lined up $1.5 trillion worth of cuts in their budget bill. I'm going to add that as an amendment, or try. So tonight the effort will go all night long probably, but the amendment that I will put forward will be, let's put the House spending cuts into our budget, $1.5 trillion, and show that we're serious so people like me can be more enthused about the project. Right now, I think it's just a spending bill, which I think is a waste of an election, and it goes against what President Trump is saying and against what Elon and Doge are doing.
Going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong,
it could be a tool to enslave humanity, and if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets. Now,
it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.